think one thing that I have really seen and had a hard time with when hiking in pandemic times is mask etiquette on the trails. It's really so interesting to see people hiking and knowing that they're going to potentially be very close to other people and just not a mask in sight.
I know. It is really disheartening to me. I get it. We're outside and there's a lot less of a chance of things spreading outside, but there's still a chance.
Right.
And the CDC says 6 feet. Not 6 feet if you're outside or 6 feet if you're inside. It's just like 6 feet all the time.
Yeah.
And it's better if you're outside, but there's so many things that are made for outdoor gear. You know, it's very easy to like put on a gaiter or something around your neck.
Yeah, well, gaiters though aren't like even the best. I mean, I guess if it's better than nothing.
Not technically, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I just feel like generally speaking, people who hike outside are kind and considerate of others.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that mask wearing needs to become something that we all incorporate as part of our kindness and consideration.
Yes, I think that has been lost a little bit in the outdoor community. It's a real struggle because this is a thing that's still happening. It's still going on. You need to wear a mask.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. And this is something we all need to think about and take very seriously and incorporate into our outdoor lives too.
Looking for adventure, I want to follow on the trail, or get a little lost and let the wind fill my sails. Get up when the stars still fill the sky, don't wake the sun. There's so much to be done, and the day has just begun. Go where the postcards are real, you can feel. You can open your eyes and open your heart when you gaze at the national park.
Follow you there.
At the national park. At the national park. Follow you, I'll follow you there.
So this...
Do you want to say hello?
Sure. Hello and welcome to Gaze at the National Parks, the podcast. I'm Dusty.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome to episode 54. Can you believe we've done 54 of these?
No.
54 full-length episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And this...
It's half my age.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
In dog years.
Right.
This is all about Acadia National Park. We were able to revisit Acadia National Park last summer when Maine was in the green.
And so was most of the Northeast.
Yes,
yeah.
At that time.
Mm-hmm. At that time.
We had been to Acadia before,
mm-hmm.
and this allowed us to do quite a few trails we had not done before.
Right. We kind of swept the rest of the island.
Right.
Yeah.
But it did allow us to do one that we wanted to do again, but in the opposite direction.
Right. So this episode is all about our hike starting at the Beehive.
All the way to Huguenot Head.
So,
do you want to say hello?
Yeah. So, hello. So when we were revisiting Acadia this past summer, we stayed at a KOA. We had recently discovered camping in the last year and our love affair for it. So we had stayed at the KOA in Bucksport and Fort Knox, which is about 45 minutes from where Acadia National Park is. There is a KOA right near Acadia, but that was all booked up. But to be honest, I'm really glad that we stayed where we stayed because the people there were incredible.
So nice.
They like upgraded us like to a nicer pad.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, we had some cancellations. Like, here's a better spot for you. Like, there's more here for you. Yeah, they were just like the most considerate, loveliest people.
And they served pizza.
And they served pizza.
And it was delicious pizza.
Maine pizza. I know. It's like, I think we've had some pretty good pizza in atypical places that aren't known for pizza. And I have to say, Maine pizza was pretty good.
Well,
Just
I don't
like
know
Colorado
if it was
pizza.
Representative of Maine. I don't know if there's a thing as Maine pizza, but...
Right. I mean, pizza of the state of Maine.
Right. But I'm saying it was pizza we got in Maine, specifically at this KOA.
Right.
That was really good pizza. They also had a swimming pool that they opened for us.
They did.
Which was super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically like, just let us know if you want to swim, we'll open it. And so
by open it, they took the heating cover off of it.
Right. So that it would stay warm.
Yeah.
So all super kind people.
Yeah.
Loved staying there. Would absolutely stay there again.
And would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Hint.
Right.
So
this is not an ad for them.
No.
But
it could be.
It could be. By this time, I felt like we had really sort of gotten our camping routine down.
Yeah, totally.
The morning routine usually looks like you wake up first because you always wake up first.
Yep.
You go out and start, some boiling water. And then
I throw it on you to wake you up.
Right. You scald me in order to wake me up. And then I wake up, I don't know, 10 minutes later, 15
after
minutes later.
Scalding.
After the scalding. After it's cooled down a little bit. And I join you for oatmeal.
And coffee.
And coffee, yes.
Coffee.
Yes, oatmeal, coffee. Usually there's some bars involved.
Yep.
And more scalding.
This time just with words.
Just with words. Depends on who has harmed us.
We haven't recorded in a month and a half.
Oh my God, it's so good to be
giggle
here.
Time.
Right. So that's what breakfast usually looks like.
Right. And then you handle cleanup because I've done all the work.
Yeah, and then I handle cleanup. Happy to do it because you've done everything else.
Right.
But
that allows us to get on the road really, really early because at this point, too, we are just consummate bagpackers for the night before. So it's I'll fill your bladder. I'm going to throw bars. I'll make the peanut butter sandwiches. I'll do it all.
Oh, God. Okay, for the record, you don't do everything all the time. Okay.
No, it's true. I don't. We're going to have to cut around all this.
I don't know. I might just leave all of it in. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, it's so good to be back and laugh.
It's good to laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mike's narrative is that he does everything. He fills both of our platters. He packs both of our bags. He gets the car ready. He cooks dinner while I sit around and do nothing. And if that is the narrative that you would like to perpetuate, then fine. No, but usually the night before we have to we get everything ready so that we don't have to think about anything the next day. Because we often, on camping days, will get on a trail early.
Yeah.
Hike early, hike often. And then we'll call it a day.
Mid-afternoon.
Mm-hmm. And so we're let's just get everything set for tomorrow so that we don't have to think about it.
Right.
So there's a lot of that.
Yeah. We really wanted to get to Acadia early this day, too, because we knew that we were hiking the Beehive and the parking lot is right near Sand Beach, which is very popular. And I want to say that we were there probably if it wasn't the weekend, it was a Thursday. So we knew that it was end of the week in the summer. People were going to take long weekends or it was just going to be crowded. So we really tried to I think we left probably at 6:30 at the latest.
Oh, yeah, because we wanted to do Beehive and we knew that would get crowded.
Mm-hmm.
And that we would have to park near Sand Beach. So
we get to the parking lot it's really not that bad at this point. We do see a bunch of people kind of like on the move already. We're gearing up, and there's a bathroom at the Beehive Sand Beach parking lot, but we're also kind of like, what are our ground rules? What are we doing with the bathroom? How do we want to handle this? Because this was still sort of like not height of pandemic, but it was...
Well, at that time...
It was still early.
This was June.
Right.
And it was still like, I mean, we had read some article that was like, the coronavirus lives in bathrooms, so you don't go in bathrooms. So like everybody's trying to figure out how to, like, how the science works here.
Right.
And we still are, but during this time we knew a lot less. And so, yeah, there was a bathroom there. Did we use that restroom? We didn't.
I don't think so. I think we kind of like did what we needed to before we left camp, and we're like, we're not going anywhere until we get back, sort of.
Right.
The woods are our bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and I mean that in the kindest way. We're not rude about it, but
no, of course not.
Nature does call sometimes on the trail, folks.
Of course it does. It was cold this day in the morning. It was like summer, but it was chilly in the morning.
It's Maine. Yeah.
And that's how it is usually. So it's like you bring all the layers. I know. You live and breathe for it.
Oh, God. When
Meanwhile,
we got to Maine,
I
was
like
living for it.
I look forward to when we can go to Florida in the heat and like just be in hot, sticky humidity. Like that is my life breath. I live for that.
No.
And that's where,
that's where
differ.
Where the two roads diverge in the yellow wood.
That's why.
And I took the colder one.
We balance each other. Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So we set off toward the Beehive. So the Beehive is like this gigantic boulder.
I wouldn't call it a boulder, but it's like it's a rock face essentially. Yeah.
And the trail is basically like up the rock face.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of like metal handles, bars. Sometimes
ladders.
You have to climb ladders.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes you have to like hold on to a bar to go across. I mean, like you're on the ledge and there's grates
that
you have
connect
to cross.
Pieces. Mm-hmm.
So the Beehive is this kind of famous hike in Acadia.
Mm-hmm.
People do it all the time. Previously, when we had done it, we had gone down and we didn't realize what we were going to be in for. Because we had not looked into what the Beehive was.
No, I think at that time, too, we had our good old map, our trusty map, but I think we were on like a really long walkabout that day, and we're like, yeah, we're just going to do this. Like, this seems like a great way to go. It was not.
And
I mean, it was
wasn't.
fine, but it was a little treacherous.
My fear of heights was triggered going down, so I was curious what it was going to do going up.
And I think I had some like insane idea that we would maybe make it to the top of the Beehive for sunrise, but that was like very quickly dashed because I think the sun came up at like 4 a.m. in Maine.
Yeah.
It was so early.
It was up from the time we were awake.
Oh yeah. Acadia was like the hot ticket item for people in the Northeast this year as like a respite. I had a friend who was there, who we tried to like link up, and it just didn't happen.
Mm-mm.
And then when I started school this year, I talked to a few teachers that were like, oh yeah, I was in Acadia in August too. And we all just like happened to miss each other, which was like funny. The way you start the trail is you leave the parking lot and you cross the road, the park road, and then you're basically right there. The trailhead is right there. And most of Acadia had these like kind of like split log trail markers to denote the start of a trail. So it's really easy to see where a trail begins, and it's like nicely printed text in the wood of those markers. We were like hiking behind a very, very handsome man.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the story of his life that we invented, he was hiking with his brother.
Yes.
They had very much brother energy,
Mm-hmm.
like, and this guy was the older brother,
Mm-hmm.
but he was just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, hello, very handsome gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned around and was like, do you guys want to go ahead of us? And both of us immediately just became 11 years old. And we were both like, no, it's fine. You're fine. He was like, oh, okay. And then finally it became like a thing where we did eventually have to like...
They stopped to take some photos. And like
so we continued on.
Sidled past them.
Right, exactly. But, one way to make both of us turn fully 11 years old.
Right. Back in the closet.
Oh, I'm so glad we're not in there anymore.
No, I know. This was not as crowded as I had anticipated. It was early, but there were still people out on the Beehive early. There were a lot of families hiking early. I mean, like I said, I think Acadia was like, oh, this is the thing to do because Maine's green and like, we can go here and it's beautiful. And I think a lot of people like took notice of that and really took advantage of that. But we do hike our way up to the top. I do agree with Dusty. It wasn't as bad going up, but it was still a little nerve-wracking. It's cool to turn around and to like look out over the Atlantic and to like see Sand Beach like as you get higher. The one thing we definitely made sure we were doing is we had brought like each like a hand sanitizer like little squeeze bottle with us, and there were so many ladders that we were touching and so many things that everybody else touched that we were vigorously hand sanitizing. And then like when we would get to the top, that's essentially what we did too.
I thought going up was not so bad. I was like, okay, well, this was definitely the better way to go for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just was like, my fear of heights was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a couple of spots where it's like if you turn and look down behind you while climbing a ladder.
Oh, yeah. Or look down through a grate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a lot shorter going up.
Yeah,
it
totally.
felt so short going up. And then, remembering going down just felt like, oh my God, I remember going down and it was a surprise. And it was like we had poles with us and like, there was just so much. I was like, I don't know if I can do this going down with all this stuff, but we figured it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, going up this time was really not bad at all. And I really enjoyed it. And then we did eventually make it to the top, past all the ladders, past all the grates, past all the climbing. You can see Sand Beach right from the top.
Mm-hmm. And you can also turn and see our next destination, which was Champlain Mountain.
And with that, let's take our first break.
So what game are we playing?
We're playing the vault.
Great. It's been a while.
In the vault, we're going to pick a category. And you can only put 3 things. You can only save 3 things in the vault forever and always, and everything else will be destroyed forever. So,
great.
Here we go. Into the vault. Gas station snacks. Only 3 snacks that can be found in a gas station can go into the vault. Everything else will be destroyed forever. Which 3 snacks do you put in the vault?
Well, that's a very wide spread. But
yes.
The one thing, the number one, is the twisty honey barbecue Fritos. You know that was like never going nowhere. It's staying forever.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to say Cliff Bores.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to say Slim Jims because I have a weak spot for the Slim Jims.
You do, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we've ever purchased Slim Jims.
I mean, I guess like that falls into the like, beef jerky category.
Area, but, yeah.
So maybe
I used to eat Slim Jims all the time. All the time. In high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for me, I also have to put in the honey barbecue like twisted Fritos because there's ain't nothing better. Second, those little come in a pack of 6 tiny little miniature chocolate covered donuts.
Oh, yeah. Those tasty cakes, are they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Those are going into the vault to be
call.
saved forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I think I have to put in whatever seasonal Reese's shape that there is.
That's a good call.
Be it a pumpkin, be it a heart, be it an egg, whatever it is that's going into the vault.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah.
Great. I love that. Beautiful. We're going to go because I'm just longing for it right now, even though I'm enjoying the coldness of the winter. Summer barbecue fare. You can only put 3 things from a summer barbecue food items into the vault,
great.
And you cannot eat anything else
great.
ever again at a summer barbecue.
Hamburgers absolutely are being saved. Ribs, barbecue ribs are 100% being saved. And then the last thing I'm going to save is potato chips.
Wow.
God, I just love those so much.
Chips is your love language.
Right, ain't it though?
Be it potato or chocolate.
Yep. Or tortilla.
Or tortilla. Or
Don't
poker.
forget about. Right? Why not?
Yeah, this is like, I mean, I love the idea of ribs, but I'm not used to doing ribs at a barbecue. So I'm going to like just negate that fact that they're there. But I'm going to say cheeseburgers for sure, potato salad, because I just want to live my life in mayonnaise. And then I'm going to say corn on the cob.
There you go.
And that's a complete meal, folks.
Ain't it though? I could also eat ribs, burgers, and chips as a complete meal.
You could make a burger with ribs as the buns.
Absolutely.
And put chips on it.
Put chips on it. Put chips on sandwiches, everybody.
We would like to acknowledge that while hiking in Acadia National Park, that we were on the traditional and stolen lands of the Wabanaki Confederacy and the Abenaki and Penobscot peoples.
When leaving the area known as the Beehive, we put on all our hand sanitizer.
Right.
And then we
doused ourselves.
And then we headed off toward this area called the Bowl. You have to descend down off of the Beehive in order to make your way toward the Bowl.
Yeah, it's not a big descent by any means, but you do come down a little bit.
Right. And we had come up from the Bowl to this side of the Beehive.
Right. Yes.
Previously.
And we kind of like sat there and snacked a little bit because we'd done a big giant walkabout that day when we did the Beehive originally.
And on this day, there were quite a few people coming up behind us on the Beehive. So we were like, we need to book it in order to, make sure that there's enough space between us and everybody else.
Right. And just to kind of stay out of the crowd.
Right.
Yeah.
So we headed toward the Bowl, which is a lake. And it's a lake that you can get right up to the edge, and there's not really a lot of shore. It's just rocks and then the water.
Yeah, we sat on some bigger boulders right by the bowl the last time.
What is great about the bowl is that the trail on the perimeter of the bowl is a boardwalk trail, but it is not it's not like a beach boardwalk trail. It is literally two boards.
Yeah, planks of wood on
logs. On logs. And those are my favorite things. I love those. These are a few of my favorite things. So that is what I think about when a dog bites me, is boardwalk trails.
When my step springs, when bay sings.
So, yeah. So much fun. We did pause here for a minute and take a bunch of photos and call family and then
Morms.
Yes. And then we continued on the boardwalk trail, which was, quite a ways around.
Yeah, I mean, the bowl's not that big, so quite a ways around is, don't be misled there. But it does take you around most of it. Yes.
Yeah.
But that'll put you right onto the Champlain South Ridge Trail. And this is a trail where you kind of come off of it and you have to sort of not scramble, but there are some bigger boulders that you have to sort of climb over to get up onto the trail, which is basically the ridge of this mountain of Champlain Mountain.
And this is quintessentially Acadia National Park. Acadia National Park is the place where in a matter of about 10 minutes, you can be in a forest, then you can be around a lake, then you can be on top of a mountain, then you can be at a beach, then you can be climbing boulders. Right.
This was, again, another quick transition from the bowl to some boulder climbing in the forest to, it's very bald on this ridge. And there are trees and there are some small shrubs, but it's open. There's a lot of openness where you're hiking. I would say it's a 45-degree pitch the entirety up to the top.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. It really doesn't take us a lot of time to get much gain, to get any elevation at all, because we're kind of trucking it up. I think it's about 1.6 miles from the bottom to the top. It's something around there from the bowl up to the top of the Champlain Mountain peak. Like I said, from the early part, you're sort of below the tree line, but then the trees kind of get less tall. You get to see a lot of exposed rock, some small shrubs, but you also get these really great views of the ocean, the Scudic Peninsula and some of the islands that are in the bay to your right. And then you see the western portion of the park off to your left, which is just forested wonderland, essentially.
The top of Champlain Mountain right here is another thing that's so quintessential about Acadia National Park is there's so many peaks all throughout that park that you can hike to. And you get just incredible views on all sides.
Yeah.
And this is definitely one of them. And this was one, we had not gotten to Champlain Mountain before. And so we definitely wanted to make it here this time.
Yeah, there was like, I think we sort of skirted the edge of it because I think when we came in like off of Ocean Path at some point, and like when we were going to Gorham Mountain, I think we might have like there was some sort of crisscross I think that happened, or we were close to it, but we just didn't get there. So this was like on the list of things to tick off for sure.
Right. We could definitely see like faintly the area where we were the previous day in the Scoodic Peninsula. Mm-hmm. Acadia is known for its cairns. They have cairns all over the place to help guide you where you need to go.
They also have like good signposts too.
Great
a lot of
signage.
Trails are coming in together.
It's great. So Acadia wins the award for signage.
1010%.
Always and forever. So up there with like the entire state of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
So we continue on and like we have the map, and Acadia is a choose your own adventure type of trail system, meaning it's a whole bunch of interconnected trails. So you decide where you're going to go.
Right.
And what kind of, path you want to create that day.
Yeah.
We were headed toward Huguenot Head. That's where we knew we were headed next.
Yes.
As we were following the cairns, we were like, okay, great. Based on the map, I had the map at this time and I was looking at it and I knew that we were eventually going to be like heading off toward the left in that direction. Mm-hmm. But as we were following the cairns, we were sort of headed to the right a little bit, and then we started to descend. And I was like, this is a little bit of a roundabout way to get here, but I guess this is what we're supposed to do because these are what the posts say to do. I think we were playing games at this time and we were chatting and we were talking about all the things that we do on a trail.
Yeah.
We're just descending and descending and descending.
And
I
just
remember
engrossed in conversation.
And I remember saying out loud, I was like, oh, I'm glad we don't have to turn around and walk back up to this.
I know.
Right? Because it was steep. This was...
Well, it was shorter, too. It was only like 0.6 miles down.
Right.
So it was, obviously pitches change on different sides of mountains, but this was a swifter descent.
Yes.
Yes. We were both like, whew, that would have sucked to go up that. Like,
I'm glad we came from the other direction.
Yeah, definitely. We get down to the bottom... And we hit one of those trail junctures where there's like a trailhead marker, which is like that's like log that's like shoved into the earth and it's got like the split front. So it's got like a nice little mark on it.
Right.
And I see a sign for the orange and black path.
We are now fully confused because we were like, oh, that's not what we're looking for. And so why are we here in front of it?
Right. And it was
because so we looked at the map and we were like,
we had turned in a wrong direction.
We had gone the wrong way. While Acadia has plenty of signage,
right,
and many cairns, there's a lot of things going in a lot of directions. So
right. And I think the sign, reflecting back on it, I took a photo up at the top and I was like, oh damn, yeah, that sign definitely said Huguenot Head was to the left, and I think we were just so engrossed in conversation that we just blew past it. And we're like, oh, well, maybe there's a connecting trail from here.
And we looked and it was like,
Head.
We basically would have to walk back down out into the road. It was going to add like 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
It was already a long day.
I was like,
and it was already through stuff we had done before.
Right. And after looking at everything, it was like, there was only one option.
It was to do that thing we said we were so glad we didn't have to.
I know. That was karma coming for us.
Turn around and go right back up.
Yeah. And with that, let's take another break. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage.
Marcia de Penguins.
Her last name is D''Penguins. De Penguins.
This is one we came up with in Acadia.
In Acadia, Marcia de Penguins.
Marcia de Penguins.
I'm sure this isn't the first time someone has come up with Marcia de Penguins, but like, oh
God, it makes me laugh so hard every time.
Yeah, I feel like she is. an extremely fierce queen who has very subtle penguin references in her looks.
Okay.
You know, like she doesn't overtly do them.
Mm-hmm. Is it like militarily? Like, does she have like a military theme? Because it's March, like Marcia.
Oh, maybe.
Like, are there military
maybe she
jackets?
has a military look. Maybe she has references to military and references to penguin. I dig this.
I was also thinking that I was really feeling the dance sequence from Mary Poppins with Bert and the penguins. Like, I feel like that could be like she would do an homage to that.
Oh, interesting. Like she has that look too.
Yes, the
great.
like, you know, like the derby look that
I
he
feel
had
like
on.
she is one of those queens that is a fierce look queen, but also really funny. Which it's like a lot of times that's one or the other, but some are both, and I think she's both.
I feel like she's funny. Like, I do feel like she is a comedy. Like,
oh yeah,
100%. I do feel also like there is a lot of makeup that's happening.
Oh yeah, a lot of makeup caked on.
Yes.
I would like to see her like actual homage to like the Batman penguin. Like, what would the drag version of that be?
The Danny DeVito Batman penguin.
Exactly,
Right.
the only one.
Well, Colin Firth is playing the penguin in the upcoming Batman movie.
That is not true.
Yeah.
Shut your mouth.
Not Colin Firth. I'm sorry. Colin. Who's the other Colin?
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
Okay, don't wet my whistle with Colin Firth and then break my heart and tell me it's Colin Farrell. How dare you? That's like against the rules. Not okay.
Drama.
It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna be Tom Hanks. I'm sorry, no, Tom Selleck.
Wow.
Great.
Strong words for Colin Farrell.
So what?
What's her song?
I'm sure he'll be fine. What's her song? What song does Marcia de Penguins lip sync to? Maybe Soldier by Destiny's Child. And then, yeah, I think she'd probably do that animated sequence from Mary Poppins. And I feel like her merch would be all to like save penguins.
I think she'd have those like black and white penguin pops that the ice cream truck used to sell.
Oh, yeah. I like that. But they'd be like shots. Or they'd be alcoholic some way, somehow.
Penguin shots.
Penguin shots.
I don't love that sound of that.
No, I don't either.
No.
That we were talking about alcohol.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage.
Marcia de Penguins. So we are definitely not very happy about having to turn back around.
I know, but it was one of those things where I was really proud of us because we turned around and like we were like, we're going to allow ourselves to grumble for 2 minutes and then we're going to just radically accept that we're going right back up.
Right.
And that was that. And we did. We were like, we huffed and puffed. I can't believe we have to do this. And then we were like, all right, this is life. We're doing it. And
it was a hard trek up. That's for sure. Harder than the other side.
This was very hard. Well, one, because we were tired because we'd just come down it. Then we didn't want to have to do it. And then going up it was very steep. Like I did find myself having to do like a little bit of that game we did in Tamichi Point of just like, get to that rock.
Yep.
Now just get to that rock. Now just get to here.
I think we did that out loud, actually.
Very short bursts. And that is the thing that, you know, kept us going. But I do remember like, there were like 3 moments where I was like, all right, it's leveling out right up there. And then we would get there and it would be like, nope. Psych. And then, okay, it's going to level out right up there. Nope. Hilarious. Keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We got to the top. We made it. We shook our fists at the sign.
We did. We did see it.
Yeah.
And also, God, the fact that you had a photo of it and that we were like, oh, there it is. There's the sign we missed.
Yep.
You know? But yeah, we found the sign and we were like, okay, now we have to head in this other direction.
Right. To the left or to our right.
It was now to our right.
Yeah.
We should have gone to our left before, but now we were headed to the right.
When you head off in this direction, you head right towards Huguenot Head and it's on the Beechcroft Trail. You essentially kind of like come to this very smooth, slanted rock. Like this is a different pitch, like down.
Yes.
And so we're like, oh, okay. And hiking up, there are these people that are walking with sort of like a canister and a spray gun. Sometimes the trails are marked not just by cairns, but by like spray paint on the trail. So I asked the gentleman, I was like, oh, are you respraying some of the trail markers? Because we had, I think, remarked to one another, I'm like, oh man, some of these were hard to tell where we were going when we were coming up Champlain Mountain South. Because there were less cairns there, and I think it was more like, here's a piece of spray paint on the rock, like follow it.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, actually, we're spraying a solution to take care of any graffiti. And we're like, ugh,
I
really?
know. If there's
And
any
he's
way
like,
to just break our two hearts is to see people dealing with graffiti in national parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were volunteers, so that was really great.
Right.
To like know that they were giving their time to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't really remember seeing anything, but I think were headed to a specific point where there had been reported graffiti.
This was a very treacherous pitch.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Very treacherous. It was a lot steeper than before.
It was just like a weird angle to sort of be walking at. That's what I remembered.
Yeah.
Like the way gravity wanted you to go, but the way the angle of the rock was didn't seem to mesh up that well.
Right.
You can also see, like from here, you're able to see Bar Harbor and some of the towns, or the town in the distance, basically, because it's bald up there. And like the angle you're at is like great for being able to see that far. Just like we were able to see the islands in the bay from the top of Champlain Mountain South. So we're on the slanted rock, and then eventually you kind of like sit and scoot down into the woods. Like there's like a little ledge. And this is where the true treachery begins.
Yeah.
This is just like a garbage path of rock and boulder and twisting your ankle with one wrong step, sort of.
Yes.
Like this was one of the most and then we had done Tamichi Point at this point, but this was a treacherous trail.
Just completely inconsistent
the
entire time.
Right. And this is not really long after we'd seen these volunteers. It's a lot of careful stepping. It's a lot of maneuvering, and it definitely would not be fun to face coming up. We decided that.
Yeah.
100%. You know, these sections that you're in the woods, and then there's these sections when you're sort of like on a ledge and you can like look out to the left and you can see the park road, and it's like kind of a bald section. And then there's sections where you're back in the woods. So like at this point we had crossed paths with like an older couple who were very considerate. They put their masks on, we put our masks on. We had a lovely little chat with them. Then we passed, like not long after that was like in the woods. Then we passed another open ledge area, and we saw a family who was like sitting up on like the like kind of like rock scramble.
Now this was Huguenot Head, and this is one of the greatest views I've ever seen. This was a ledge that looked over like so much, and it was just so vast. And I was like, oh, okay. I can't believe we missed this last time we were here. This is so spectacular and so beautiful. And so, yeah, there were a lot of people hanging out right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was like four or five people. Yeah.
Taking in just how spectacular this entire view was.
Yeah. I mean, we're still early. Like, it didn't take us long to summit Beehive, and it didn't take us terribly long to get to the top of Champlain Mountain.
Even though we went down and back up. And like
and
added
I think
another
we saw
mile.
like, honestly, we saw like maybe 4 people at the top of Champlain Mountain, a person or two at the bottom on the wrong side that we went down. And this is like our, 10th person that we interacted with since we were at the top. So it was pretty quiet up here. And I do feel like maybe these are trails less traveled, because there are some other, big ticket trails in the area besides this.
But getting to this ledge at Huguenot Head is absolutely worth doing because it is just so beautiful.
After that, we're kind of back. We dip back in the woods for a little bit. Then we like are able to see like to the side, like I said, the park road before, but we also see these ponds that are down below. That is where we were headed.
There are 2 ponds that are sort of like north and south of each other. And we are very high up in the air at this point. Yeah. Extremely high up. And this ledge is like, I would say maybe like 10 feet wide or something like that.
It's not terribly wide.
Yeah. It's not the widest, but it's like
it gets wide and it gets narrow. I do feel like that.
But I felt fine up there. Like I didn't like feel like I was going to fall off or anything like that. But we're still so high up in the air. We know that based on the map, we're going to be down there soon.
Quickly.
Right. Because like this is just unfolding really fast in front of us the whole time.
Eventually we're sort of like, we do come along like a kind of like a cliff edge again where there's like boulders off to our right, and we are getting to these like very smooth stone steps that were very clearly like manipulated by the park to make it a nice clear path, which after some of the treachery we had endured early on was a real nice treat for us.
That was a real nice treat. It was kind of like a switchback path that went along this like side of this giant rock face. There were occasional stairs, and like it was a lot of flat rock.
We do pass a few more people like here and there, especially as we're descending. But it's not a terrible amount, but this is a lot better mask etiquette on the trail. That was something that I definitely took note of, which was I was happy to see. But it was also a less crowded area too, so I think that helped. And I think people were just a little bit more conscientious of what they were doing. Eventually we wind our way down through the woods and through the forest before we end up coming to more of a flat, even part that's down at like sea level, essentially.
Yeah, or the road level.
And that is going to take us off to our next hike. It's time for Karen Stone.
Yes. Okay.
So we did 3 trails here.
We did.
Well, I guess if we wanted to split up, we could say 4. Because we could say Champlain South, Champlain North.
Yeah, let's do 4.
Yeah, let's do 4.
Okay. So we've got the Beehive going up.
Beehive going up.
I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay. I'm going to give it a 6 is what I was feeling.
Okay.
It was definitely easier than going down, which I would probably give an 8 or a 9 to.
Yeah, which I think we did.
I don't think I would give a 10, but I can't remember.
No. Nothing has matched Yosemite Falls for me at this point. Though I am, since that was so like early on, I am curious to go do it again and like see
it wasn't
how
early
it
on
feels.
though.
It was 2 years in, wasn't it? Oh, it wasn't early on.
No.
Yeah, it's a 10. Well, Angel's Landing is also a 10.
Yeah.
So those two. But no, Beehive is nowhere near that. So I still say a 7 because it's like you're hoisting yourself up ladders. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. What about Champlain South Ridge Trail? That was the first.
Oh, I would give that a 6.
Okay. I was going to say 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Only because I know what Champlain North was like.
Yep. Okay, so Champlain South is 11 out of 20. Okay, Champlain North.
Champlain North is probably more like a 6 for me than it was the other side. Like, I guess I could probably err towards 7. I don't think it's higher than the Beehive. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant to say that. I think it was just also tiredness, you know? Yeah. So I'm just going to give it a point up from what I said South was and make it a 6.
I'm going to say a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's tied for me with the Beehive.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're equally hard in different ways.
Yes. And that's what I think is going to come up with this last trail too. So 13.
13 out of 20 Karen Stones.
The Beechcroft Trail.
Beechcroft Trail.
Which was a slanted rock, then the jumble of rocks, then the cliff edges.
This one,
going up would be totally different.
Yeah, I would say I'm gonna say a 6.
That's my inclination too.
Like, I don't remember the agony as much.
Not as painful as yours.
I don't remember the agony. That's the title of my memoir.
Lies.
Yeah, it lies. I remember it every day in great detail. So, not as well as you do. Because you're a scorekeeper, lady scorekeeper.
Sister to Lady Footlocker.
Right. Okay, so that's a 12 out of 20 for the
Beechcroft Trail. And with that, let's end this episode with some Jeopardy-style trivia. I'll go first.
Great.
My Jeopardy today is called You Go Not. And so this is a word Jeopardy. And I want you to listen to the word Huguenot and think of it as you go not, like I'm asking you a question, like you go not.
Okay.
So all of the clues are going to be framed like that. So
Got it.
all the answers will be framed like that. The word that will be ultimately the word you're guessing will be made up of smaller words that start with you.
Great.
Does that make sense?
It does. No,
Okay,
I'm
great.
following you. So
Great.
it's like a word, but it sounds like a phrase. And so I'm guessing both, essentially.
Essentially, yeah.
Great.
Okay. For 100. A phrase I might say when quickly comparing Dusty to David Rose, give or take, but may also sound like a word that means not funny or without laughter. Everything starts with you.
You. Oh, I'm struggling here. I'm really struggling.
I was worried about this. This
Okay.
might be a little tricky, but what is you, more or less? Humorless?
Oh,
Yeah.
this is where we're going.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Strap and
Humorless. Okay, humorless. Okay.
got it.
All right. I
Okay,
got it.
all
I
right.
don't know if I'm going to get any of these, but I am applauding you for this category.
I will give you another clue. They all start with HU. All
Okay,
of these words
HU.
are HU words.
Got it. Okay.
Again, starting you.
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
A phrase I might shout at this Brevard County, Florida baseball team, their mascot, a gentle sea cow, when they fail to make a tying run, but also may sound like it relates to the collective arts and histories.
You, manatee.
There
Okay,
you
now
go.
I'm getting it.
You got it?
The HU was helpful.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Great. For 300. A phrase a coxswain might shout at the people in the middle of a crew boat if they were not rowing fast enough, but might also sound like a thing to keep your cigars fresh.
Oh, I have no idea what keeps cigars fresh.
What is a humidor? Or you, mid-oars?
Mid oars, like the oars in the middle. Good Lord. Okay.
I
All
know,
right.
this is a tricky one.
I am
I
very
laughed
impressed.
my way through
the amount
this.
of like, oh my God.
The
I
clue
don't,
writing was hard.
I mean, but also finding those answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Wow. No.
sorry, everybody.
I am impressed. I'm deeply impressed.
Okay, thank you. How do you make a Libra nervous? Tell them you're impressed by their skill.
Yeah.
Great. All right, for 400. A phrase I might say to you if you were in a Shakespeare play and believed that you were to be joking, but also might sound like something enormous or exceedingly great in size. The phrase might start with surely.
Well, I'm thinking surely you jest. But
What
that's
is-
not HU. Hugest? Hugest. Oh, I just got it. Okay, great. I was thinking humongous, but I was like, I don't know how that works as a phrase. Okay, great.
Got
Look
it.
at that.
Look at you. Great. And the last one of this tricky word sleuthing
I'm
category.
loving it. I'm really am. Yeah.
What I might try to do as a writer to make a villain seem less of a monster, or what may be a really off-putting term of endearment to your husband based on his vision.
You man eyes.
There you
Human
go.
eyes.
You got it.
Oh my God.
You got
Oh,
3.
I did.
Look at you. You're smarter than you think.
Oh, I know. I'm not concerned
I
about
was a
that.
little worried about that category, but I had so much fun with it. I was like, I'm just going to write this.
Oh, I
'Cause
am
it's so
really glad
ridiculous.
you did because it was worth it. Okay, are you ready for my category?
I am. This is just also an episode where I giggle a lot, clearly.
Right. My category is also a words sound like other things category.
Great. We were on a brain share. What
We
a
were on a
surprise.
brain share. This is the closest I think we've ever come to writing the same category,
Okay.
but we didn't. Like you took a word and then it was like there was a word and a phrase.
Mhm.
This category is called Beehive. And I call it that because I could be saying the word beehive or I could be saying the word behave in Cockney.
I almost did a category with beehive as the word phraseology.
Oh,
and
well,
didn't.
look at that.
So that was the fates intervening.
So In this category, I'm going to tell you a word that I'm saying, but I'm also going to tell you like where I'm saying it. And because of the dialect of the wherever it is, it's going to sound like a different word.
Great. And I have to guess what that different
You
word
have
is.
to guess what both words are.
Great.
Okay. So for 100, you might use the word pint to describe this order at an Irish pub. And it might sound more like an animal that you don't want to encounter in the woods.
Is Guinness one of the words?
Mm-mm. It's just Irish because of the sound. But Guinness is a type of what?
Stout? Beer? What's a bear and a beer?
There you go.
Got it.
So a bear,
Got it.
but it might sound like a bear.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Sorry. Got it.
Okay, great. In American, I guess you should, in the American dialect. Okay, for 200.
In the transatlantic dialect.
And the transatlantic dialect, darling. For 200. If you were a low-class Brit from the early 20th century, you might use this word to describe your best friend, though it may sound like a word to describe someone's strength.
I don't know.
We were looking for might.
Oh, mate.
Mate
and might.
And might.
Got it.
Because, yeah, those change. What we call in phonics the long A sound changes to an I sound in British Cockney, in Cockney British. So, good day, mate. Right. Which is also something
Australian?
that also happens in Australia. Okay. For 300, these words are essentially interchangeable in Ireland, but kind of opposite. One describes the cranial area of your body. The other describes the verb for what you did with your sex toys before your parents came over to visit.
What's hid and hide?
Correct. But head is this cranial part, and head is what you did with your sex toys or your sex toys, because in Ireland they switch the I and the S sounds. So your head is actually your hid, and then
Hid.
your head,
Your head.
your sex toys.
Head and you hid.
Your sex toys.
Your six toys.
Right. Okay. For 400, in Scotland, you might use this word to describe how you attended a concert, but it may sound like the way you prepared tomatoes.
I'm trying to think of how tomatoes are prepared, and I'm thinking of sliced, chopped, or diced. Oh.
No.
Oh, fried?
No.
No.
How do you sometimes buy tomatoes in a can?
Stewed?
Correct.
Okay.
Because I went and stewed at that concert.
Got it.
Right. It's a standing room only concert. I stewed.
You stewed.
Okay, for 500. If you ordered this type of cake in a Savannah, Georgia bakery, they might think you were trying to order a cake themed for this Star Wars princess.
Well, Leia is the princess.
Yes.
Oh, what is a layer cake?
Leia cake.
Leia cake.
Leia cake.
Is that how it would really... That sounds very like Jackie Onassis, the way you said that.
Well, I mean...
Leia cake.
A Leia cake. I mean, if I'm going to...
Oh, gotcha.
invite you over and give you a tour of my beautiful estate, and then later we'll have some layer cake
on the lanai.
over on the lanai. This has been Gaze at the National Parks, the podcast, and we're here to remind you to hike early and hike often, and that adventure is always out there.
Gaze at the National Parks was created and is hosted by Dustin Ballard and Michael Ryan.
To see images from this episode, follow our Instagram at Gaze at the National Parks. To contact us, email us at gazeatthenationalparks@gmail.com. And to find out more about Acadia National Park and the other parks featured on this show, visit our website, gazeatthenationalparks.com. That's Gaze, G-A-Z-E.
All original artwork featured on Instagram and on our website is by Michael Ryan.
All original music's written by Dave Seaman and performed by Dave Seaman, Mariella Klinger, and Sean Sklios. Our music producer is Skyler Fortgang.
This episode was edited by Dustin, Ballard. We would also like to acknowledge that we're recording this episode that we were on the traditional and stolen lands of the Lenape people, also known as Ocean County, New Jersey.